Welcome to a discussion on strategic management and corporate strategy. My name is Jacob Harold. I'm an MBA student at Regis University, and I will be guiding you on this topic. After this lesson, you should have familiarity with the concept of strategic management and be able to plan, implement, and execute strategies within your own organization. You'll also be able to define a corporate strategy, develop an analytical framework for creating a corporate strategy, and understand the importance and process of successfully implementing a corporate strategy. So, what exactly is strategic management? The answer to this question can vary depending on who you ask and prove pretty confusing without having a strong understanding of the underlying roots of the concept. So let's start our discussion on the breakdown of the word strategic management by looking at strategy and management. Who are managers, and what is the purpose of management within the organization? What function does management perform? Think about this in terms of your own experience as a manager or in a management capacity within your current or past organizations. What were your responsibilities? What have you been tasked with? Management performs several basic functions, including planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, and motivating employees. Additionally, some managers will participate in different ways in the strategic design process, with different levels of management perhaps even creating the initial organizational design or strategy. Almost all managers will be responsible for implementing the organization strategies within their own departments. Organizational design, or the process of actually planning and organizing processes within the company, is a largely management function based on systems thinking, which is identifying the moving parts within an organization that add value and ensuring that these parts function together as an effective and efficient whole. In essence, managers must be responsible for making day-to-day decisions that are in alignment with the organizational strategy from a systems approach. So, if the purpose of management is to plan, direct, organize, and ensure the success of a business at various levels, and managers must make decisions in everyday operations to help reach the organizational goal in alignment with the overall strategy or the organization, then we are now ready to discuss what exactly a strategy is. The basic definition of a strategy is a plan of action or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim. Strategic theory has continually evolved from the days of ancient warfare all the way to the modern era and are more important to modern organizations than ever before for reasons we shall examine shortly. So what is strategy within the context of business? In the context of business, a strategy is a plan of action or a policy that, when implemented successfully, will assist the organization in meeting its operational objectives. Harvard professor Michael Porter identifies three basic principles underlying strategy and has determined that strategy as it relates to business is about capitalizing on the organization's competitive advantages. And he states that there are three ways by which companies can gain competitive advantage. But before I tell you what they are, I would like you to take a moment and consider the businesses and products around you to see if you can come to the same conclusions Porter did. Think about why you and other customers buy certain products and services over other competing products and services. Answering this question will help discover the same three basic competitive strategies that Porter defined in his own research. So now take a moment and ask yourself why you bought the last product or service that you did. Was it because it was the best value and the lowest price? Was it because this product functioned better and had better features than all the other products available? Or perhaps it was because it was a product you've been familiar with for years and you trust. If you agreed with any or all three of these propositions, and you have similarly identified Porter's three generic competitive strategies that any business may seek. As identified by him, companies can gain strategic advantage by implementing any of these basic three strategies, formally outlined as: number one, becoming the lowest cost producer in the market. Number two, by being a differentiated producer, which means offering products with something extra or special to charge a premium price that the customers want and desire that the other competitors are not offering. Or finally, by three, being a focused producer and achieving dominance in a niche market. Porter insisted that although these three generic strategies existed, it was up to each organization to carefully select which were most appropriate for them and at which particular time. Does everyone agree with Porter that perhaps they should only be implementing one of these three competitive strategies? You're probably thinking, of course not, and if you were, you would be correct. In fact, the focus of strategic management actually has dozens of schools of thought. And companies can employ wide-ranging strategies to help them reach their organizational objectives outside of simply choosing one of the generic strategies. It can be based on many internal and external factors that we'll discuss in a moment. But first, we must define what a corporate strategy actually is and why defining a corporate strategy is important as the creation and implement process itself. Equipped with the definitions and purpose of both strategy and management, what do you think is meant of the concept strategic management and corporate strategy? We'll start with strategic management. Perhaps you have come to the conclusion that many have come to, which is basically that strategic management involves setting goals and objectives, analyzing the competitive environment, analyzing the internal organization, evaluating strategies that could provide a comparative advantage within your own company, and ensuring that management rolls out the strategies across the organization successfully. Corporate strategy, then, is a high-level plan whose purpose is to achieve the organization's objectives using the resources available. A well-defined corporate strategy is critically important because in an organization, resources are limited and need to be organized and utilized in such a manner to produce the maximum benefit. The corporate strategy will set the direction for the entire organization to follow. Strategic management is the actual formation, planning, and implementation of a corporate strategy. Perhaps the most familiar approach to developing a corporate strategy is organized linearly, with a step-by-step procedure that owners, executives, and management would follow to develop and implement a new strategy. These steps typically include identification of the firm's values, the purpose of the organization, and an environmental analysis and capability analysis. Finally, an identification of specific strategies and implementation of the new corporate strategy. Strategic leaders must assess the organization's mission, vision, and culture and should ask questions that help them identify the direction of the business strategy. Owners must recognize the importance of formulating a business strategy that is in alignment with the company's vision and mission for the future. A strategy that conforms and supports the overall values of the organization has the power to clarify and amplify the organization's mission and vision to employees more so than any other tool a business owner or a manager can employ. A strategy in alignment with the organization's values will guide the tactics that management will in turn prescribe and employees will execute. You must be able to identify the goals and strategic objectives of your company. You also have to identify what business your organization or company is in. Successful business strategies are centered around the organization's core competencies. Business owners who are knowledgeable of their current operating environment and position will sometimes be able to foresee new changes in that landscape that would prompt a rethinking of their business strategy. Alternatively, business owners who are not operating on the cutting edge and regularly taking calculated risks are less likely to be able to recognize new changes which may provide new opportunities or pitfalls, and less likely to adapt their strategy to those changing conditions. Without a doubt, managers, business owners must be able to recognize the capabilities and limitations of their business or of their organization. This includes taking stock of their current strengths and weaknesses to identify any source of competitive advantage or shore up that weakness. A business owner should be cognizant of the realities surrounding the organization's production capabilities, R&D capabilities, and limitations, available technologies, and opportunity costs associated with pursuing certain particularly new and innovative strategies. By performing this kind of capability analysis, a business owner will be able to formulate very specific, precision-guided strategies rather than broad, less defined strategies. The choice to employ one of Porter's 3 generic strategies or an entirely different unique strategy based upon your findings in the environmental analysis and capability analysis is entirely up to you. There is no universal solution for this question of what kind of specific strategies your organization should employ for their corporate strategy. And the strategies that you will end up identifying may be explicitly unique to your organizational values, purpose, competitive environment, and capabilities, maybe other factors, internal and external. How do we implement the strategic plan, and who is responsible for implementation? Would you believe that the strategy should be something an organizational leaders implement using a top-down approach, or perhaps a bottom-up approach? Practically speaking, the implementation approach may vary from one organization to another when you consider differences in structure, size, and organizational culture. Perhaps a strategy within a new, small, aggressive tech startup style business could simply take a top-down approach and experience success with their new strategies. While the same approach may not be ideal for larger, more mature organizations with multiple levels of management and control. In a larger, more mature corporation, it may be reasonable to assume that new strategy will pose different unique challenges at the varying levels within the organization. If this is the case, a top-down and bottom-up approach should be utilized, training and employing managers of each of those levels as leaders of change, able to guide their departments through new strategy and to solve problems associated with implementation at their respective levels in the organization. No matter the implementation approach, a few things remain more or less consistent when implementing a new corporate strategy. At the very beginning, the leader of the organization, whether that's the owner, the CEO, or the CEO, must own the new strategy and embody change from the offset to ensure that the new strategy will gain momentum and buy-in through later implementation. Finally, measurement. Any corporate strategy should have clearly defined benchmark goals in order to measure the progress and success of the new initiative. Some companies may choose to implement a system whereby they gauge the successfulness of a strategy using specific key performance indexes, while other organizations will measure success in a more holistic manner, perhaps using a balanced scorecard type approach. No matter the methodology of the feedback system chosen to measure the success of a new strategy, the metrics should reflect the same key features of the organizational mission, culture, and purpose. Some final thoughts. The key elements to remember are as follows. Strategic management is a high-level management philosophy that drives the planning, development, implementation, as well as measures the success of a corporate strategy. Corporate strategy refers to the overarching strategy of the organization. It gives answers to questions such as, in what business do we operate in and should be operating in, and how will our operations add to the competitive advantage of our corporation overall?